While Trump campaigns everywhere, Democrats begin to panic about the current state of the race. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video. Today, we have to talk about the 2024 presidential election because it appears that the Democrat Party is panicking over the current state of the race. Yeah, that's right. Despite what some people may claim about the election and how Trump is down by 15 points and he's going to lose every single state, despite people claiming that, in reality, it is not looking good for Harris at all. And now you have this report from Politico. Yeah, that's right. Not Fox News, not Newsmax, not some far-right outlet. Politico is now admitting that Democrats are starting to get very worried about Kamala Harris' schedule. Democratic operatives, including some of Kamala Harris' own staffers, are growing increasingly concerned about her relatively light campaign schedule, which has her holding fewer events than Donald Trump and avoiding unscripted interactions with voters and the press almost entirely. Yeah, this is coming from Politico. These Democrat operatives are admitting that, yeah, Kamala Harris's campaign schedule is very light, she's not doing enough events, and not just events in general, just unscripted events. They're now admitting that everything she's done as of now is scripted. Like, everything she's done, including some of these interviews, it sounds like they're basically all scripted. Everything she does, and it's not a surprise because, well, look at what she does during every rally. Anytime the teleprompter goes off for a millisecond, she goes off the frickin' rails. She has no clue what the hell she's talking about. She needs a script to even function properly. And now they're admitting that, oh yeah, this could be a big problem for Harris because guess what? While she's doing nothing, Trump is actually campaigning. Whether it's town halls, whether it's rallies, whether it's a bunch of interviews. He's actually going out there and doing things. Harris, meanwhile, she's just sitting back and, yeah, she might do a rally every other day, but it's scripted. It lasts like 20 minutes and that's it. Trump is out here every single day doing town halls, taking actual questions, not just scripted BS. I mean, that's just crazy to think that Kamala Harris has been the Democrat nominee since what? The middle of July? And since then, she has taken like, what? 3 interviews? Maybe 2? She has done nothing. Everything she's done as of now is 100% scripted. In interviews with Politico, nearly 24 Democrats described Harris as running a do-no-harm, risk-averse approach to the race they fear could hamper her as the campaign enters its final 30-day stretch. Yeah, the Democrats are realizing they made a big fat mistake with Harris. She has done nothing but scripted interviews, scripted rallies. Everything she's done before now is 100% scripted. It's fake, and not only that, she's doing like 2 events a week, maybe 3, and then she calls it a week. Again, compare that with Trump, who's doing stuff every single day, and at this point, he's doing like 2 or 3 events every day. While Harris is just sitting back and doing maybe 2 rallies, and they last like 20 minutes each, and that's it. That's her entire campaign. Well, guess what? It's not working. With early voting by mail and in person already underway in more than half of the country, Harris spent just 3 days of the last week of September in Battleground states. On September 28th, when Trump gave a speech in Wisconsin before flying to Alabama for the Georgia-Alabama football game, Harris was attending a fundraiser in San Francisco. Yeah, that's what they admit to. That she's not campaigning in the Battleground states. Trump, meanwhile, he gives a speech in Wisconsin, then he flies down to Alabama for the Georgia-Alabama football game. And I know Alabama's not a swing state, but this just shows you Trump is actually doing stuff. He's not just doing 1 event a weekend, that's it. Kamala Harris, meanwhile, yeah, she did a fundraiser in San Francisco, but that's not a swing state. That's in California. That's a state that's going to vote for Harris by like 25 points. So that's the problem Democrats have. They're realizing Trump's in the Battleground states. He's actually campaigning. Harris, meanwhile, yeah, you did a fundraiser in San Francisco, but that's it. You did nothing. And beyond concerns about her schedule, Democrats argue that Harris would benefit from venues that allow her to introduce herself to voters in a more authentic way, such as town hall events, more sit-down interviews, and unscripted exchanges with voters. Wow. They're basically admitting here that before today, Kamala Harris's entire campaign was scripted, and she cannot function without it, and they're not wrong. For crying out loud, just, I think, yesterday, she had a rally, and it was a disaster when the teleprompter went down. The teleprompter broke down for a millisecond, and she completely fell apart. She had no clue what the hell she was talking about. She looked confused. It's like, wait, what? I understand that the teleprompter is your speech, but you're telling me that you cannot say anything unscripted? You need a teleprompter to function? No, that's not a good look at all. Because you're supposed to be the president of the United States. You should not need a teleprompter to barely function. That is not a good look at all. And Democrats, they're finally realizing and admitting that this strategy of just sitting back and doing everything scripted, it's not working. There's a time at which you just had to barnstorm these battlegrounds, said David Axelrod, the longtime Democratic operative who helped lead Barack Obama's presidential campaigns and was an early critic of President Joe Biden's campaign style. And if Axelrod is saying this, you better listen up, because he knows what he's saying. He knows what he's talking about. He's a very smart guy, and yes, he's a Democrat and he's a partisan hack, I get that. But even he sees through the BS at times. He realizes, oh yeah, it's not a good look for Harris to sit back and do everything scripted, no town halls, no interviews, just a 5-minute speech, and that's it. He knows that that doesn't work. It did not work for Biden, right? Especially 2024. I mean, he got away with it in 2020 because of COVID, but it was clearly not working in 24, and it didn't work for Clinton back in 2016, and I highly doubt it's going to work for Harris now. And that's why I believe even David Axelrod, he's admitting that, yeah, this strategy is not working. At some point, you have to do events in these battlegrounds. You can't just do one scripted event in San Francisco and call it a week. No, you should be doing rallies every single day, especially if you want to be the next president of the United States. People deserve to know what you stand for, what you're going to do. And you can't even do a town hall? That is pathetic. It's the most difficult exam on the planet for the most difficult job. And part of that is just that spontaneous. Town halls, all kinds of interviews, and not just friendly interviews. He's not wrong. You can't just sit back and do friendly interviews like on Oprah and call that an interview. Like, no. When we want to listen to interviews, we want to hear an actual interview. Not just, oh yeah, Kamala Harris, why are you such a great person? You know, no one wants to hear that for an hour. No. We want to hear a real interview where the person asks you real questions. Like, hey, how are you going to fix the southern border? How will you deal with inflation? That sort of stuff. Not just, Kamala Harris, why is the orange man such a bad person? And by the way, why are you such a great person? That's basically every interview she's given as of now. And even then, she has screwed up every single interview. She can't even answer the most basic of questions. Like, for example, there was an interview a couple weeks ago, just a simple question. Hey, how will you deal with the southern border? Just a simple question, you know, nothing complicated about that. Just say something generic like, yeah, we'll lock up the southern border, we'll build the wall, just something. She can't even answer the question. She goes on some long tangent about, well, I grew up in a middle-class household. No one cares. It's a scripted line she gives to any question. Anytime she's asked even a remotely tough question, even something simple like, hey, what will you do about the southern border? Just name one thing. She can't answer it. She goes back to her scripted lines by saying, well, I grew up in a middle-class household. That's not the question. No one cares. We want to know, how will you deal with these problems? And if you're not going to answer the questions, well, why should you be the president? If you cannot give a basic answer to anything, why the hell should we trust you to be the president of the United States? Why? The discussions inside the party speak to the growing anxiety about the state of the race, as polls show Harris and Trump locked in a dead heat across all 7 battleground states, which, by the way, compared to 2020 and 2016, that's not good for Harris. Like, these same pollsters, they were claiming Trump was down by 8 points in Wisconsin. He was going to lose Michigan by 12. He was down in, North Carolina. These same pollsters are now saying the race is 50-50. Now, there's not going to be a 10-point miss, I don't think, but if there's even a 2-point miss, these tied polls, they actually show a Trump win. Just compared to 2020 and 2016 with their polling misses, which again, it's not a guarantee it's going to happen, but these polls showing a close race, that's not necessarily a good thing for Harris because these same polls, they overstate Democrats every year. And with Democrats haunted by the echoes of Hillary Clinton's play it safe 2016 campaign, and that's a thing that's being brought up quite a bit. The comparisons to 2016. The Clinton campaign did the same crap in 2016. It did not work, right? She did the same thing where she didn't give any real answers. It was all scripted. She did like one event a week. She thought she had in the bag. It was all over for Trump. Yeah, we all know how that went. It sounds like the Democrat Party, they're realizing Harris is doing the same thing Clinton did just 8 years ago. And we all know what happened in 2016. I think we all remember quite well how it did not end pretty for Clinton at all. Now, will Clinton or Harris lose in a landslide? I'm not saying that. But the point is, even Democrats, they're starting to think that this is like 2016 all over again. The Harris campaign, they're not campaigning. They're doing one event a week, and that's it. Especially in the battlegrounds. She may do a fundraiser in San Francisco, but that's it. She does no town halls, no interviews, nothing. And when she actually speaks for 5 minutes, everything she says is scripted bullshit. This is not good for Democrats at all. And it's getting so bad that they have to run to Politico to admit that, yeah, we have a big problem here. That is not good because if they're admitting that, yeah, we are in deep trouble to Politico, they probably are in deep trouble. Why would they go to Politico and say, yeah, the Harris campaign reminds us of Clinton's. She's not doing any interviews. She's doing no rallies. She may do one scripted event a week, but that's it. Why would you run to Politico and say this? And this is coming from David Axelrod, someone that knows what the hell he's talking about. And if he is saying that this campaign is not looking good and that she has to actually do something, the Democrat Party, they better listen. Because, again, Axelrod's a partisan Democrat, I get that. But he's one of the few ones that understands, yeah, this is not a good situation for Democrats at all. Where is the Harris campaign? What are they doing? Where are they at in the swing states? They do one event and call it a week. That's not enough to win. And Axelrod knows this. He saw what happened back in 2016. He ran the Obama campaigns. And they were well ran. And they actually won by quite a bit. So he knows what he's talking about. Now, will we see a landslide for Trump? Maybe not. I'm not saying that. But the fact that Democrats are now admitting that, yeah, this reminds us of 2016 about how Clinton's campaign did nothing and we lost because of it. Well, if they're now saying that the same thing's happening again, that's not a good look for Democrats at all. We just got to see what happens, but there's nothing positive here. And they try to spin this as actually, well, it could change. The polls are actually way better than with Biden, but that's like, okay, yeah, congratulations. Instead of losing Wisconsin by 5, or Pennsylvania by 5 or 6, you're down by 2. Congratulations. That's what the polls are showing, by the way. That's basically what they're admitting. That, yeah, it's better than Biden, but in reality, that doesn't mean it's a Harris win. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.